Welcome to the To Be Human podcast, episode 19 on the afterlife. So, I wanted to talk about the afterlife and if there really even is a afterlife or not, because there's many beliefs, so there's many different versions of the afterlife. I don't know them all, so I'll be mainly sticking to the ones I do know and, theorizing my own ones, like I've done in the past. But yeah, and this is the dedicated episode to talking about the afterlife. I haven't talked about this, right? Before. I always have to goddamn double check that I haven't, already done this, but I always check and it's yeah, I haven't done this. I definitely talked about it, but I haven't done a specific episode. But, yeah. Anyway. So, yeah. Afterlife. So, I guess first and foremost is there an afterlife or not? Well, we can't really say. The only answer is through dying, which, most people would preferably not die until it is their time to die. So even, seemingly, the most, devout, religious people won't just, off themselves to, you know, get in faster because maybe, just maybe, it's, a small part of the brain saying, hey, maybe this ain't a wise idea. We can't be too certain, even though most of the brain thinks it exists, there's probably always that small, tiny part that's hey, maybe we shouldn't kill ourselves just to meet God or whoever. Otherwise, it probably happen more commonly, which is kind of scary and tragic, but that's just, a possibility of life. Because with our freedom and autonomy, we choose our own, you know, fate and destiny. So, yeah. But some people could do it if it wasn't for that part of the brain that was hey, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should abstain from dying as long as possible. So yeah. But who knows, maybe it'll happen. It's probably already happened. Somewhere, at some point, people going to extreme lengths to, do things, even such as, try and get to heaven. So yeah. People can be strange. But anyway, I'm getting slightly, sidetracked because I want to talk about the main concept, even if that was a relevant tangent, at least for once. Um, but the afterlife. So usually the categories of the afterlife usually fall into a few categories. Well, mainly three. The sort of good places, the middle ground afterlives. So, like I probably should give an example for each one. So for good places like heaven, for middle places, places sort of like limbo, where one version of limbo is like where your fate gets decided. Um, Another version of limbo is just endless, dark caves like forever or whatever, where it's just like basically complete nothingness. Um, as for um, like um, bad places, there's hell and all that. So yeah, there's definitely a few different types, and I'm a weird person because I don't like the idea of heaven. Like, it just seems too perfect to me. Like, the old saying, too good to be true. So, yeah, like, and there's a very good reason for, that saying, because it often tends to be true. Like, because reality kind of screws things over one way or another. So even a perfect realm like heaven probably has, problems under its seemingly positive surface. Because, yeah, again, you can't judge a book by its cover, but this time, you know, you think things are all fine and dandy, like it looks like a nice, sweet book, and then it ends up being like a horror-filled, like nightmare thing. So yeah. So some good books are bad and some bad books are good. You never know. Like, you've always got to keep your expectations both simultaneously high and low. Makes no sense, but, here's how reality works. Contradictory logic. It's probably why humanity, is the way it is, because when nothing makes sense, how are you going to make sense out of, the nothing? So it ends up being just madness. Yeah, so, um, yeah, but, yeah, I don't like heaven. That's what I was saying before. Uh, and sure, hell sucks, being tortured forever and stuff. But I figured that, I don't know, like, if you're being tortured forever in eternal agony, like, eventually you would get somewhat used to like, the pain, like, obviously it's still probably feel like, pain, but over time it would technically be harder and harder to potentially torture someone. Obviously it'd be easier for some to be tortured than others because some people will be naturally more resilient than others. So the demons or whatever will most likely realize, hey, these people are kind of not being tortured. What do we do? Satan, devil, Lucifer, Mr. Head Demon, Sir. Well, if they're not being tortured, just focus on the easy ones. Well, find other ways to torture them. And then maybe the good place becomes real because they finally start doing like mental torture. Except this time, maybe less of a good ending because you're just now being, instead of physically tortured forever, mentally tortured forever. And that's fun. Honestly, I do think sometimes that like mental torture would potentially be more effective in a place like hell than how it's depicted with physical torture, because I feel like it would lose its like muster, especially if you're there for eternity, where mental torture is a lot more creative and you have a lot more ways to potentially do it and create new scenarios. Not to mention if you can control the person's memories and, like mess with their memories and all that, it's like you basically have a perfect infinite way of torture where, like, even if you can mess with memories, your body may still like remember the pain in a weird way of like lava, hellfire and brimstone, or like of regular hell. So yeah, I just feel like mental has more potential. I probably make a good demon. I mean, like, my name is Sebastian, so Sebastian from Back Butler. And I'm just saying, like, feels like could be me, like, legitimately, like, here's someone that isn't just a, ravenous beast demon, like, if he's gonna consume a soul, he's gonna find a good soul to eat on, like, he's gonna, like, serve his deal or whatever until it is done, like, it is going all the way to get a good meal. So yeah, I feel like if I became a demon, I'd probably just be like Sebastian the Butler, like from Butler. It's just fitting, like, I might have to choose a different profession because, like, I don't know if butlers, exactly normal anymore. I guess now it's probably more called like house servants or something like that. Or housekeeper probably be actually more accurate. So yeah. So I doubt many people would want that. Except maybe like rich people. It's always the rich. Feed them to the poor, Jeeves. Yes, Mom. But, uh, yeah. Yeah, I feel like I could be a demon something. Demon butler something, I don't know. Like, because I definitely be creative. Creatively evil. Sometimes you like to play the villain. Or kind of villain. Yeah, again, demons need to eat too. But, yeah. So yeah. As for middle realms, like Limbo, I'm fine with middle realms. They are, for the most part, fine because you don't have to, like, suffer. Like, but things aren't exactly perfect either. But still, like, I'd rather be in a place where it's mediocre because then I know that it probably doesn't have any serious problem. It's like heaven's too good to be true, and hell is, yeah, again, hell, it's designed to be pain and torture. And if they are creative in hell, God help me, because I'll be probably mentally tortured with some of the most weird and darkest nightmares imaginable. So yeah, I'll stay in the middle, safely in a middle realm, an average place, even if it means I'm living in dark, like never-ending caves, like a limbo. I'll take it. Like, it just be a sort of, I guess, experience. And it'd be interesting if I found someone else, even though the chances are kind of low, just like, you know, back rooms, because it's essentially like Limbo, it's the same sort of thing, it's just infinite caves, so just replace caves with rooms and, you know, yeah, and you basically have Limbo is basically a level in the back rooms in a weird way. I mean, it would technically be its own dimensional and I guess liminal sort of space in its own way, so yeah, it's could very well be considered a level of the back rooms. Because what are the back rooms other than, that the hidden stuff behind the scenes, the hidden, like, stuff that is just weighing there, like, never used, like, the secret backroom stuff. So, yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah. I like Limbo. But, yeah. other than heaven, hell, and limbo, there's definitely different versions of hell, because there's the 7 ring version and there's the 9 ring version. Um, there may be a version where it's just hell as hell, but yeah, heaven, there's different versions. As far as I know, there's not too many middle places. But yeah, my ideal middle place would be something that's like real life. Just another life. Life 2.0. But this time you can live forever if you want to. You don't have to if you don't want to, but once you make the choice, there's no real coming back. So, you only live twice. That's a James Bond movie that I haven't even watched. I just know the title and I just thought it was funny that, maybe it's technically true. Maybe you do live twice. Once in life, once in death. A full experience of spectrums, I guess. But, yeah. Unless there's something beyond death, like extra death, super death. What the hell would that even be? Like, is that just what we presume death would be without an afterlife? Just, being dead, completely gone, non-existent? Or would it be something else entirely? Who knows? Who knows how deep the rabbit hole goes for death and the afterlife? But, yes, answers will be found in time. In Night Springs. Sorry, I had to. It just felt right. It just felt right. Yeah. But the afterlife is definitely interesting. There's definitely a lot of, theories. And what if, the afterlife was constantly changing? There's a new one. What if it's constantly shifting between versions of itself? Maybe someone's posted it before, but now I'm just having one of those brain moments, but suddenly popping into my head. But what if there's an afterlife that is constantly shifting between good, bad, in the middle, it's constantly fluxing through sort of more like a heavenly feel than a helly feel, and it's constantly fluxing in between. That could be a quite interesting afterlife. I don't know how I would feel about that one, because a middle one that doesn't change, is just a second life, but one that's constantly changing on a frequent basis, and you can't really predict what will happen. It's definitely an interesting, I guess, concept. What will happen? Will you potentially suffer for a long time, or have a long time of good stuff? And if it's chance and probability is like basically completely random, that means it could just rapidly change on a dime between a nice, lovely, day in the afterlife to suddenly the worst nightmares you can ever imagine, like, are invading everywhere. And then it's suddenly back to nice, and then hell, and then back to nice. Oh, that would be bizarre, yet very interesting. Yeah. And yeah. It'd definitely be interesting, to say the least. Oh, but one thing I've got to mention, because I did this before, but I'm gonna do it again. Um, Pre-life. What if there's a life before life? Because, yeah, again, I did that one episode of Michael, my character Michael. Actually, it was the Book of Lies there, but still, the creation of Michael's soul and everyone else's. But the question is, like, with the new law, how did Book of Lies create Jimmy's soul? Oh, that's interesting. Well, he didn't create it per se, but he still had access to it to make certain. That means it's technically a time loop paradox. Again, it keeps happening everywhere. Michael is saving past or future versions of himself for not just himself, but for different iterations of himself. God. I guess it's just another one of those paradox moments where, like, things, like, just happen to line up that way. Another, like, bootstrapper paradox. Who really sets Jimmy on his path originally? Like, who was the one to do it all? In the original iteration, oh, I think I know. Oh, I think I know who. But anyway, I'm getting a bit distracted talking about my own series. But pre-life. What if your soul is dictated for you? What if the person you will become is already sort of predetermined? Not that you can't potentially change your path, but the fact of your base characteristics of yourself are determined before you even come to life, before you even are born. What if some of yourself is already, like, destined to happen, such as, Michael and Jimmy? Like, what if their lives have already been chose for them, instead of, it just being kind of random? So yeah, it's definitely another interesting thing to think about, the thought of a pre-life and what the consequences of that would be, like, and what happens if pre-life is gone? Like, if that sort of pseudo realm gets destroyed, would that mean life stops altogether? Or would things continue on, but people are no longer predefined and really do get freedom? So, yeah, it's all, I guess, theories and, just ideas, but definitely interesting ideas. Both the afterlife and a potential pre-life. It's all, I guess, just in flux for what could potentially happen once we're dead, but we won't know until we're dead, and that's the unfortunate thing. And if there was a pre-life, there's like probably no way to remember it, but maybe somewhere deep down we could find it. It's like figure out or something. Who knows? But yeah. Yeah, all interesting ideas and things to think about. I think that, I guess, covers about everything I want to talk about, heaven and hell, a good place and the supposed bad place, but could hell be good? Who knows? Yeah, and I already don't trust heaven, so yeah. And a middle place seems most ideal for an afterlife, but one that's constantly changing could be weird but interesting. And as for pre-life, who knows? But yeah, I guess there'll never be answers, and the only answer is death and death. So it really sucks, but that is life. You don't always get to know the answers, and sometimes must be ignorant until the end. So, yeah. But I guess that's probably enough for this podcast episode. So, yeah. Thank you all for watching the To Be Human podcast. And yeah, that'll be it. So, till next time. Peace.